Ben 10 reboot number 3 or 4, or, I don't know, I've lost count at this point. So the first Ben 10 series was an instant hit, and deservingly so. It was a great science fiction adventure show for kids. It had a lot of great, memorable characters, and they all felt very natural. Then the second series, Ben 10 Alien Force, was even better. The show had matured with its audience. It was a good, logical step for the series to take. Then there was Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, which was not horrible, but not as good as Alien Force. Most of the characters seemed to have regressed in personality, and there was a lot of plot holes and weird things happening that didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was kind of a mess. Then there was Omniverse, which was bad in both style and content. Seriously, the only good thing to come out of Omniverse was Rook. And he deserved a hell of a lot better than that show. Also, I will not forgive you for the horrible redesign of my favorite character, Professor Paradox. No forgiveness. So now we have yet another Ben 10 reboot with more drastic changes. Because the world needed this, apparently. First thing, of course, is the character design, and as much as I hated Omniverse, this show is a lot worse. Everyone in the show has the same generic, cheap design. I've noticed a lot of shows, especially from Cartoon Network, have a very similar look. Like, Be Cool Scooby-Doo was like this. I guess it's just a cheap, efficient way of doing things now. Ben and Gwen look almost identical. If it wasn't for their hair, I'd barely be able to tell them apart. Also, this is kind of a small thing, but everyone in the show has this weird, like, shading across their face. I guess it's to show depth or something, but it just looks like a giant bruise. It looks like everyone in the show has been punched in the face. The aliens seem a lot more exaggerated, but they look okay for the most part. They at least look similar to how they did in the original show. But there are a few that have some very unusual changes. One of which is one of my favorite aliens from the original Ben 10 Upgrade is now purple for some reason. And I'm not really sure why. It just, the green looked a lot better. The purple is just not doing it for me. The most drastically different one, though, is Stinkfly. The original Stinkfly was a very creative, weird alien design. And in the new series, he just kind of looks like a generic D-list superhero from an obscure comic book. Voice acting wise, a lot of the original voice actors do come back to reprise their roles. Most notably, of course, is Tara Strong, who returns as young Ben, which, as usual, she does a really good job at. Guess she wasn't too old to reprise this role, huh? Also, how do you replace Paul Eiding for Grandpa Max? I mean, the voice actor for him right now isn't bad or anything, don't get me wrong, but Paul Eiding is Grandpa Max, as far as I'm concerned. I did notice Gwen was a little less bossy in this version, but here's the thing. In the original show, Gwen was kind of the voice of reason. Every time Ben would do something stupid with his powers, she'd be there to scold him because he shouldn't be using his alien powers so recklessly. And while she did do that a few times in this show, there were a lot of times where I saw her actively encourage Ben to use his powers for some selfish reason. Also, Grandpa Max in this version was kind of boring. In the original, he was a former alien fighter. He used to be part of a defense force that fought aliens that came to Earth. In this one, he's not, I don't think. I mean, I've only watched the first 10 episodes or so, which I felt was appropriate, but in the original show, they at least dropped hints that he was hiding something. Here, he's just too normal. The new show doesn't seem to have any type of linear story. It seems to go for more comedy than anything else, which I guess is fine. I mean, the original show had a lot of comedy in it as well. But one of the things that made the original show so good was it established a villain early on. And while it did take a while for him to make his appearance, he was built up a lot. You know, he was angry. He was coming for Ben. I also couldn't help but notice that they didn't have an origin episode. Now, I think most people know the origin story of Ben 10 because it was a very popular series. But for new viewers, you really should show the origin episode. And in the episodes I watched, I didn't see it. And I'm pretty sure I watched the first 10 episodes in order, as far as I know. but we might have another miraculous ladybug situation where they're going to have the origin episode way later on, you know, long after people lose interest. From what I've seen, this version seems to just tread ground the original did. Like, Ben fought a crazy weather machine, which he did in the original series. He fought a lake monster, which he did in the original series. A lot of the villains come back, but most of them are just kind of lamer than they were. Dr. Animo is pretty much the same. He fights a guy with a cockroach body, and he fought a guy that controls cockroaches or bugs in the original series. And he was a lot more threatening. He was like this weird, crazy, homeless guy. But in this series, he's just some weird head on a cockroach body. And it looks stupid. One of my favorite side villains, Hex, comes back. And man, they turned Hex into a joke. And he was the victim of a lot of comedy in the original series. But in the original series, he was legitimately threatening. And now he's just kind of foolish. And this show better not ruin Charmcaster, I swear to God. I just don't see what the point of this was. They basically just made an inferior version of the first series. They might as well just reran the original episodes. I will say that I don't find the show as bad as Teen Titans Go or Powerpuff Girls. It's just kind of harmless, I suppose. But if you do like the show, I highly recommend you track down the original. As far as I'm concerned, it still holds up and it's still really good. But that's all I got for Ben 10 Reboot number whatever. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think of it. My name is Rob, and have a wonderful day.